Let's make this quick. Ratchet and Clank 3 on the PS2 was a demo for Sly 2 Band of Thieves, so of course this is an amazing game. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and did I mention subscribe? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the halfway point of the Ratchet and Clank Classic Marathon. This time it's Ratchet and Clank 3, Up Your Arsenal. See, I wasn't lying when I said we had more suggestive names, and there will be many more to come. When developing it, Ratchet and Clank 3 is meant to be the ultimate culmination of everything the series has done so far, by improving what worked, either tweaking or removing what didn't work, making it the ultimate Ratchet and Clank experience. At the time, anyway. This came out the same year as Jak 3 and Sly 2. Obviously, it can't beat Sly 2, but if you saw my Jak and Sly marathons, you should know I really liked the first games in those series, and loved the second ones in those series, and it was mixed on the third one. You should all know from the last review that I loved the second game quite a bit, but it did have problems such as the difficulty balancing. I had enjoyed the original for what it was, but this game is considered one of the best in the series. Similar to Sly, this is a series with many diverse opinions. Similar to the second game, I grew up with this game as well and have just many memories with it. The game was released to near perfect scores and almost 3 million copies sold. I was going to use the HD collection like I did for the previous games, but for some reason Up Your Arsenal got stuck on the loading screen and I couldn't use the PS2 version since it's busted beyond repair. So $15 later I got the game on PSN, so will I find this game meh? Will I love it more or less than the second game? Well, let's find out by starting with the story. Ratchet and Clank are still living in the Bogon Galaxy in Megapolis playing a board game until Clank's new TV series Secret Agent Clank comes on, with Clank playing the hero, and Ratchet playing the getaway driver.
Bring the car around, Jeeves, and mind the ejector seat this time.
Ratchet quickly shuts it off, and then on the news, Ratchet's home planet of Veldin is under attack from the Tyrannoids under their leader, Dr. Nefarious. Ratchet and Clank blast back to the Solana Galaxy to take care of it. So as usual, we'll skip to this point in the video to avoid spoilers and the story discussion. Ratchet and Clank save Veldin, but the Tyrannoids are attacking several planets across the galaxy. Ratchet and Clank team up with the Galactic Rangers, making their debut in the series in the fight against Dr. Nefarious, who's also making his debut in the series alongside his butler Lawrence, and since then, the two of them become some of the most popular villains in the franchise, for obvious reasons.
Dr. Nefarious, we've all enjoyed your past work, but how do you respond to critics who say your latest galactic schemes are just more of the same?
I will annihilate them!
The Galactic Rangers are being led by Sasha, and Sasha's father, the Galactic President, alerts them that the only man to ever beat Nefarious is a mysterious hero that has appeared on the forest planet of Florana.
I've seen him run right through our camping site. He was buck naked, screaming and holding a banana. Or maybe it weren't a banana. It could be
one of nature's mysteries. Legend tells that this mysterious creature is actually one of the greatest superheroes who ever lived. Shamed by his recent past, he is now one of nature's mysteries.
Ratchet and Clank find him, and it turns out to be Quark, of course, who lost his memory. They take him back to the Starship Phoenix, but have to go to Marcadia since it's being attacked. While there, Ratchet and Clank meet up with Big Al, who gives them the first Quark vidcomic of 5. Upon playing, Quark watches and his memory is back, and now the President has requested that Quark leads the operation with the newly assembled Q-Force, featuring Quark, Sasha, Helga, Skid McMarx, Big Al, a monkey, and Ratchet and Clank. From there, Ratchet and Clank do several missions until getting into Nefarious' office, where they find out that he's a huge Secret Agent Clank fan. Ratchet and Clank find out that the popular singer Courtney Gears is in line with Nefarious, and so Clank gets her on Secret Agent Clank to get information, but he's kidnapped. Clank is asked by Nefarious to work with him and make robots the dominant life in the galaxy. He refuses to work with Nefarious, and so he's duplicated, and the copy, named Clunk, goes out with Ratchet, and meanwhile Clank is held hostage. Skid McMarx is turned into a robot as a test for Nefarious' grand plan to turn the galaxy into robots. Ratchet, Clunk, and Quark find Nefarious' base, but he escapes, as do Ratchet and Clunk, but Quark was still inside when the ship exploded. Captain Quark is presumed dead, and the Q-Force is devastated. But Ratchet is quick to think otherwise, given what Quark has done in the past, but has chosen to keep his feelings quiet for the sake of the team. But more importantly, Nefarious is attacking Metropolis with a bio-obliterator, a Death Star-looking thing that turns organic life forms into robots. Ratchet finds Nefarious and Lawrence as well as the real Clank, and then Ratchet to defeat Clunk. Meanwhile, Nefarious gets away, thus rescuing the real Clank. By playing another Quark vidcomic, Ratchet and Clank discover where Quark's hideout is and go looking for him. This secret mission takes full priority.
Hey, kid, the bouncer just went on sale. If you get here fast, I'll throw in a 10% smart shopper discount.
Yes, Slim Cognito is back, and simply put, there's something insanely endearing about a criminal who sells you illegal shit and you talk to him in a room with no lights and all you see are his eyes.
I had a small run-in with the cops concerning a suck cannon upgrade that was mistakenly sold to a minor. I swear the kid looked 18. Anyway, I needed to find a less conspicuous place to do business.
They find Quark hiding out and tell him off for abandoning the galaxy. Right then and there, the Starship Phoenix is attacked, with Ratchet and Clank quickly flying back to defend the ship. The team discovers the location of the Bio-Obliterator and destroys it, but they have a second one, so Ratchet goes to destroy it and defeat Nefarious. But when things are looking grim, Captain Quark arrives to save the day, thus redeeming himself for his past transgressions. With Nefarious defeated, everyone goes to see the Secret Agent Clank movie, thus ending the Ratchet and Clank trilogy on an open note. That's the plot of Ratchet 3, and I thought it was quite good, up there with 2. Nefarious is a memorable antagonist that fits the series perfectly, and this was before Nefarious was insanely overused. The humor elements are just as great as they were in the last game.
Seriously, though, to be a true hero of heroes, you need more than loads of charisma and a brilliant tactical mind. I couldn't have done it without these massive guns! Mwah! Mwah!
Remember back in my review of Jak 3 where I mentioned that the game plays the useless support team trope completely straight and I find it kind of annoying? I mentioned that this game plays it for laughs, since the Q-Force is completely useless, but I find it incredibly funny since the writers clearly knew that was the case.
First, I shall humbly step aside, allowing Ratchet to free fall down and take out the mortar launchers at the landing site. Once the mortars have been silenced, the dropship will make its descent. Next, Ratchet will take the assault vehicle from the dropship, make his way to the 4 plasma cannon turrets, and destroy them. Once the turrets have been knocked out, Ratchet will personally lead the assault on the main enemy base. All right, let's get to it! Yes, you there in the front.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering, what are the rest of you gonna be doing while I'm down there getting blasted?
We'll be monitoring the situation closely from here. Actually, we'll be down at the lunch buffet on Deck 5. It's Meatloaf Day!
The stakes are the highest they've ever been in this series, and it's very well done, whereas Jak 3 was trying a little too hard to be epic. The voice acting is again top-notch, with all the returning cast members bringing their A-game, making the story more entertaining. And the new characters like Nefarious and Lawrence and the Galactic Rangers are just as enjoyable. I like how it ends on an open note so that there can be more games after this, unlike Jak 3 which tried to find a definitive ending for the series, but disappointed most people. I like how Quark has been redeemed, since ever since the original, Quark has always had some kind of likability to him, but he was evil for both the first game and especially the second game. Quark coming back to save the day is the best way the trilogy could have ended in my opinion, thus leaving room for him to join Ratchet and Clank in their future endeavors. But I think that covers it for the story. Gameplay-wise, Ratchet controls just as well as he did in the previous game. Ratchet can strafe and do all the flips and moves he could do before, but platforming is again great. However, just to get it out of the way now, in this game you don't do as much platforming, or exploring for that matter. There are a few planets with things to find, but several planets are pretty much straight lines with enemies in your way. It's because this game has great combat, or else it would have gotten stale really quick. The controls are still great, and I think that's all that matters. I just wish there was more to do. The world building has also decreased from the previous games. The Q-Force provides enough in that regard, but it was interesting in the last game to meet the inhabitants of each planet. I guess since there's a war going on, you don't see a lot of people, but still. All that's made up for by the Starship Phoenix itself. This basically serves as the hub environment where you can relax on the couch, play VR missions, test out weapons, view your trophies, buy weapons and armor, listen to the PA system, and see what your fellow teammates are up to, which I find incredibly engaging. In terms of the gadgets, the refractor is our first new one, and with this, Ratchet generates a shield in front of him, but it only works on these specific laser puzzles, and you use it to reflect the lasers from place to place. Would have been nice to use the shield to protect yourself from enemies, but it works. The charge boots and gravity boots are back from the previous games, and they work the same way as they do before, dashing ahead and walking on walls. The Hydro, Hella, and Thruster packs are all back for Clank to help Ratchet swim faster and glide. The Hyper Shot is one of the best ones in the game, since it combines the swing shot from the first 2 games and the Dynamo from the last game, allowing you to swing from place to place and create structures. The PDA is back for a ton of bolts, and it allows you to purchase ammo while on the field. The Warp Pad allows Ratchet to teleport from one position to the next, although you'll barely use it. Kinda reminds me of that shitty teleport ability in The Lost Frontier. Blue Eco slows down time and teleports you around, which barely functions, I might add, especially in combination with the shield. The worst ones in the game are the Tira guys and the Hacker. The Hacker is completely pace-breaking, and it's the same damn thing over and over again. Destroy the red bricks, collect the green ones, and the blue ones don't have anything done to them. Sometimes you gotta do it upwards of 4 times in a row, doing several of these, can't put enough quotations around it, puzzles in a row. The Tier Guys allows Ratchet to disguise himself as a Tyrannoid and partake in these extremely annoying dialogue interactions between you and the Tyrannoid. And it again, it's not even a puzzle, it's just pace-breaking and stupid. Just press the button on the screen. Worst aspect being how whenever they remember to make you do this, you have to do it like 4 times in a row. Clank sections and Giant Clank sections are also back in this game. Clank, I'd say, is probably the best he's been in the series so far. It's the same formula as always, only now Clank can have Captain Quark's monkey help out as well as the Gadget Bots, and there's only one type of them in this game. Again, I don't look forward to this stuff, but it's pretty harmless. I wish there weren't as many instant death hazards, but I don't mind playing as Clank at all in this game. This game, as opposed to races, has battles where Ratchet and Clank join the Galactic Rangers and fight against the Tyrannoids, and you can earn bolts from it. But these are incredibly repetitive and pretty boring, the best parts being, in my opinion, when you take control of vehicles. They kind of remind me of Jak 3, only the environments are nowhere near as large. The worst one is the gun turn, where it's hard to keep track of everything going on due to the limited perspective. In the story discussion, I referenced the Quark vid comics, in which you play as Quark in 2D levels that expand the story before the original game took place. I enjoy most of them, and it can be fun since there are tokens to collect, and depending on your time and how many tokens of the 100 in each level you collected, you get a hell of a lot of bolts. Another way to get bolts is via the returning arena battles in the form of the Annihilation Nation, where you play a variety of challenges for bolts, and it can be just as addicting as it was last time. Only one great thing is that this time the mandatory paywalls from the last two games are finally gone. Thank you. So many times in my first playthroughs of the last two games was the entire pace killed by having to stop and find however many bolts you needed, especially in the first game. In the last game, one of my favorite parts was traveling through the wide and open desert to explore for crystals, but in this game there's a similar concept, only this time we're exploring a sewer with extremely tight corridors, where everything looks the same. I know the desert looked the same, but at least you were outside. If you can find them all here, you deserve the bolts. I honestly gave up after about 5 minutes. New power-ups include the Bolt multiplayer, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it doubles the amount of bolts you get, and Inferno mode, doubling your range's offensive power for a short period of time as well as making you invincible. I find it kind of pointless since it takes away the point of upgrading your weapons, but still, in the few times you get it, I think it's worth it. This game also brings back first-person mode, which is again great for hitting targets out of reach, and third-person mode, but overall it's not that great for platforming. But new to this game is the lock strafe mode, which all the 3D Zelda games have. Basically, you strafe automatically and you fire weapons with the R1 button, and I used to hate this setup, but after playing the recent Ratchet games and the other shooters like the Uncharted series and the later Metal Gear Solid titles, I can safely say that this button mapping is extremely comfortable, allowing you to control the camera while you shoot, as opposed to third-person mode where you could shoot with the circle button and then have to stop and then move the camera around and then resume shooting. But overall, I'm most comfortable with the third-person mode since that's what I'm most used to for these games, but other options are there if you want to use them. Another one of my minor complaints that got fixed would be that this game has multiple quick select rings, so going into the menu and messing around with the one quick select ring you were given is no longer a thing in this game. However, I didn't buy as many weapons since Up Your Arsenal doesn't make you take a gamble on the weapons, and instead you can test the weapons out in VR before you buy it. And I wasn't impressed with a lot of them, so I just went with what I was familiar with. Speaking of familiar, if you have a Ratchet 1 save file, you can use the skin from the first game. Other skins can be unlocked by spending titanium bolts on them, which again are back in the levels. If you have a Ratchet 2 save file, you can get Ratchet 2 weapons for free, except the Bouncer, which you can get a discount for. But be sure to buy it, it's well worth it. A similar concept was in the last game, only the Ratchet 1 weapons you could get for free were not upgradable, so it wasn't really worth it. The weapons are also great in this game, with the same amount of creativity that was seen in Ratchet and Clank 2. The first form of each weapon isn't worth getting it hyped over, but in this game, in the first playthrough you can upgrade your weapons up to 5 times for devastating attacks. In New Game Plus, you can upgrade your weapons to level 8, making them even crazier, as well as giving you access to the nearly 3 million bolt Rhino 3, which of all the Rhinos so far it's my least favorite, but it's still godly. This game is by far the best difficulty balancing in the series so far. The first game is all over the place in difficulty, and the second game was an improvement, but towards the end got a little harder than it should have been. This game, on the other hand, is as smooth as butter, with weapons that are effective at the beginning and also at the end due to the leveling up system. Ratchet can again buy new armors to boost his defense. Ship segments are gone, however for some reason you can still customize your ship. I have the theory that originally there was supposed to be ship segments, which is why you can customize it, but I guess they just took it out towards the end of development. Skill points are again back, but I couldn't be bothered to go after them. The boss fights are some of the craziest and most explosive they've been in the series so far, with a lot of them requiring you to bring your A game in order to be beaten. The soundtrack is again really good. However, I didn't find it to be as good as the last game, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. Visually, this game looks just as good as the previous games, and the PS2 version again supports widescreen at 480p, although again it's still quite distracting how in the HD edition Ratchet's helmet is bigger than his head. One of the bigger aspects of the game, one of the selling points of the PS2 original, was the new online and local multiplayer, providing players with several options, including Siege, where one player must destroy and take over an opponent's base, which is a lot more difficult than it sounds, since the base's defenses are extremely powerful, making this mode go on for upwards of 20 minutes. Deathmatch involves a fight to the death between you and the other players, my personal favorite being Capture the Flag due to the laid-back nature of it. In between the bases are neutral nodes, which one player can capture to respawn to locations that are closer to both your base and your opponent's base. One issue I have with the multiplayer is that it's unbalanced as hell. You can be pitted against some extremely tough competitors who can obliterate you in seconds, making it not that fun when that happens. Overall, to answer the question I put up at the beginning of this video, yes, I absolutely positively love this game way more than I did the original Ratchet and Clank. This game has a lot of elements I dislike, but that doesn't come even a % close to ruining the truly great experience that is Ratchet and Clank 3. Simply put, the first game just hasn't aged that well from a gameplay standpoint, and this game has aged wonderfully with another great story with entertaining writing and characters and solidifying the series' formula. I can definitely see why people think this is their favorite game in the series. I don't entirely agree with that, but it's definitely in my top 5 Ratchet games for sure. Next up will be a review of Ratchet Deadlocked on the PS2 and PSN. I'd assume it'll be a shorter review, but we'll see next time.